This is Hans Scheil from the Finishing Well podcast. On Finishing Well, we help you make godly choices about Medicare, long-term care, and your money. Your chosen Truth Network podcast is starting in just seconds. Enjoy it, share it, but most of all, thank you for listening and choosing the Truth Podcast Network.
This is the Truth Network. Welcome to Truth Talk Live.
All right, let's talk.
The truth is, I can't hide it no more.
A daily program powered by the Truth Network.
This is kind of a great thing, and I'll tell you why.
Where pop culture, current events, and theology all come together.
Speak
Your mind.
And now, here's today's Truth Talk Live host.
So here we are. In one corner, we have the United States government. In the other corner, ding, 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 we have the state of Texas. You can't make this stuff up, friends. Are you watching this? Are you seeing the border crisis? Admitted last night, the vice president of this country, Kamala Harris, admitted on an interview that there is a problem at the border. And the question is how does a believer respond? Because Texas Governor Abbott has recognized this massive influx of fentanyl and child trafficking and traffickers, and additionally to that, the crime wave, the cartel that are coming in. He has seen it, and he's there. He lives there. I don't live in Texas. I'm a North Carolina citizen. So I don't deal with what he deals with every day. So the question is, and I just posted this on my Instagram story. I'm Stu Eberson. Welcome to Truth Talk Live. The question is, you're an American citizen. You're a citizen of the kingdom of heaven. Where do you side with Texas, who's trying to stop people from breaking the law? The governor of the state of Texas is sworn to protect and uphold the Constitution of Texas, which says that no one can come into our country illegally. If they want to come in and deer hunt, if they want to come in and go to a Texas Rangers ball game, the Constitution says illegally they cannot come in unless they have a passport, unless they have a green card, or unless they so on and so forth. And so all he is doing is upholding his law by putting barriers up to prevent that from happening, by screening people, by checking for weapons, things like that. The United States government, our president, has sworn to uphold the United States Constitution, which says no human being can enter our country illegally unless they have a passport, unless they're here, tourism, student visa. Some of you are here studying. Good for you. God bless you. You're from other countries, and you're here on a visa, and you're studying abroad, but you can't from abroad, but you cannot enter, and our president has sworn to protect the Constitution of our country. So what happens? So the Texas governor says, I take my role seriously as a God-given citizen of this country. And so they start to set barriers up. They start to screen people in Texas because the numbers, the accurate data numbers are 12,000 folks are coming in illegally to our country every day. Every day. Sometimes it's as low as 8, sometimes it's as high as 12,500 people. And there are, I'm not going to read them, but it'll make you sick to your stomach. It'll make you wreck your car driving out there when you hear about the murders, the rapes, the fentanyl, the deaths of all kinds of people. And the thing you don't want to do, or maybe I ask you this question, and you can call in at any time this hour and talk to me, change my mind, or help me see it differently. Toll free 866-34-TRUTH, 866-348-7884. Truth Talk Live, pop culture, current events, and theology. This is where they all come together. And as believers, we're in the culture. We're seeing what's going on. How do you respond as a believer? Now, let me just ask this question, because this really bothers me, concerns me, and that is this. Can a Christian support border control, like secure borders that say, hey, if you're illegal, don't break the law and come in here? Can a Christian support Texas but still love the illegal alien? Because I think the person getting the raw deal here is the illegal alien. Because as soon as you say, hey, I support Texas, then the other Christian's like, well, how uncompassionate are you? I mean, I had getting ready for the show today. I had several people, how dare you attack? I'm not attacking anybody. If you're a Christian, you're called to love everyone. If you're a Christian, there is no hint of racism in your heart or in your mind or in your conduct and how you treat others, because you love others as Christ has loved you. Okay, so that's no different when it comes to the person who is in our country illegally. Hey, you're supposed to love an illegal alien, and if an illegal alien comes into our country, as it's happened, and their gang goes and kills someone in your family, as a Christian, you're still supposed to love them and forgive them. So I'm just asking you, the audience of this show, do you side with Texas, who's actually trying to enforce the law and keep illegals or screen them from coming in? They can't stop it. Or do you support our country, the United States government? Here's what they've done. That's what they've done. Instead of saying to Governor Abbott, hey, we're going to send the troops, we're going to help you, put a barrier up at the border. We're going to help you keep this flow of illegal immigrants coming in. We're going to help stop the fentanyl. We're going to help stop the cartel, all the illegal stuff happening. We want to stop it all. We're going to help you. No, what's the government done? Texas does something about it. The government says we're suing you, and they have sued them, and they've taken it all the way to the Supreme Court, which kind of ruled recently in the favor of the government, to everyone's surprise. But kind of they also, in a little bit, punted it to a lower court. And so Governor Abbott is still trying to do his job. Do you support him, or is he a hate-mong and racist because he's trying to protect his borders in Texas from this influx of illegal aliens? Now, here's the other question. Is it okay to commit a crime and then lie about committing that crime? Because our government, up until now, has denied any kind of border crisis. And is it okay? I mean, is a Christian less of a Christian for recognizing this and asking these kind of questions? 866-348-7884. State of Texas versus the U.S. government. Who do you side with? Who's the believer to side with? And can you side with Texas and still love the alien? Let's see what Jamal says. He's on Truth Talk Live. Jamal, welcome to the program.
Hey, Stu. Hope you're doing well, sir.
Hey, doing great. What about this? I mean, you support the government or Texas? I mean, this mean governor of Texas is trying to keep people out. How dare he do that?
Well, as what we're supposed to do as Christians, we have to look at things through a biblical lens. So we have to be good stewards of what we've been given. So the reality is, unfortunately, or fortunately, how you look at it, America cannot support everybody. We have trouble supporting our own right here in America. We have homeless. We have people who are food insecure, but yet we want to bring in millions of people from other countries.
Okay, what about that argument? Can we not just take care of our own? But let me ask you a question. Are all these distractions from the real issue, and what is that issue? 866-34-TRUTH. More coming up on Truth Talk Live after this. Hang on.
Truth Talk Live.
This is the Truth Network.
I tell you what I'd love to do is get to the root cause of this whole thing. At toll-free 866-34-TRUTH, you can weigh in. We love your calls. We love for you to disagree or agree. Or honestly, I'm more than anything asking a question. Do you agree with the state of Texas in one corner, in a lawsuit with the U.S. government in the other corner? The wild thing is both people. In fact, Kamala Harris said herself, when the interviewer yesterday said, well, don't you think is there a problem at the border? She finally admitted after months and months and months. Of course, she knows there is. And I don't know if it's a joke to these folks or not, but she finally admitted, oh, yeah, there's definitely a problem. And then when the person brought up her critics, she says, but they're not doing anything about it. The irony of it is the one person doing something about it, a la the governor of Texas, who is putting up security buffers to protect his state from folks coming in illegally to enforce the law. So Kamala Harris says they're not doing anything about it. Here he is doing something about it. And what is she doing? Her government, who has the same law to protect the United States border, which is a lot bigger than Texas, is suing him. They are, do you know this, friends? This is not right-wing or left-wing propaganda. Because I can tell you there are Republicans and Democrats right now absolutely frustrated, equally frustrated with the crisis at our border. I'm simply asking, do you side with Texas, who's doing something about it, or our government who's suing Texas and just allowing it to happen wholesale? And so, and there's all kinds of stats. And additionally, I just got this from the Verdict, the Judicial Watch newsletter, which is like a conservative legal group that just helps hold the government accountable. They said not only is there a flood of new immigrants coming in every day, and only 6% or so are being screened for dangerous things like fentanyl and other things. They said that our government has freed, listen to this, at least 2,148,738 illegal aliens in the United States, according to government figures obtained by members of Congress. So only 5,993 were actually deported for whatever reason. Maybe they were criminals or here on a real bad pretense, whatnot. But over 2 million are still here and just released into the population. And so want to get to the root and the heart of the cause. Now, Jamal, we got to jump to another caller, but you go real quick and tell us you have a problem with, you said, all these folks coming in illegally while there's a bunch of veterans and others that don't even have housing and food and whatnot. Finish your thought, and then we'll get some more calls. 866-34-TRUTH is the number.
Yeah, that was the initial thought. How can we take care of somebody else when we're not taking care of our own? And it's not like there are people that are there by their own devices. Some of them have had the system fail them. You mean tell me all these veterans, it's their own fault to why they're on the street? These kids who are on the street, the families who are food insecure, who don't have enough to feed themselves. How about we take care of these guys first, then we can take care of other folks? Now, I'm not against immigration, but we got to do it legally. We have to do it sustainably. If we fall as a nation, who can we take care of? I'm glad you said that. We should want, America is a country of immigrants. We should want all kinds of new folks in here. But what you just said is what you want them here according to the law, which is on a legal basis, and to jump on in and be Americans and be different and sound different and have different skill sets and just bring all that to the table, as opposed to this government-controlled flood of, or government passive allowing a flood of those, but then they're suing Texas because Texas is trying to stop that. I appreciate you weighing in, Jamal. I want to speak to something else, but go ahead. And just one more point. Not only are we talking about a situation where we're talking about resources, we're talking about crime as well. You alluded to that earlier. So look at this as a nation like this is your house. Would you have your doors unlocked, your valuables just out there for anybody to just come in?
Okay.
No, you would lock your doors and windows because you want to protect what you have.
Oh, wow.
So that's another issue that we want to address.
Okay.
But thank you for addressing this, too, and God bless you.
Thank you. That last point, it makes us all quite uncomfortable. But if you think about it, the nations are governed by laws. And so at some point, if you don't enforce a law, what are the implications of that? And maybe what other laws should you not enforce? What about those protections? Other things like that. Let's go to the Triangle area and to our next caller. Hey, caller, you're on the air. Buxman?
Hey, brother Stu, guess who?
Hey.
This is one of your favorite people calling in to speak to you about this, and I hope you will allow me a little extra time on this. I'm in support of this Lone Star state of Texas.
You're supporting Texas?
Yes, sir.
Why would you support a state that's being sued by our government?
Because I spent 14 weeks there in basic training. I am a former, I spent 4 years in the United States Air Force. And they're being, what you shared before you even accepted calls, and what also has been shared. Look, the state of Texas goes through a lot, but let's just go back to when, even before this administration was even put into its existence, they were talking about and saying to people down below, Mexico and all that other stuff, come on up here. They were saying that. because they said that, people started making their way up there, whether it's in Mexico or Nicaragua or wherever, way south below us. Okay, they were like waving the flags, like waving a green flag to start the NASCAR race. They were waving.
Yeah, but what if someone accuses you? If you say you're supporting Texas to try to stop this influx, this flood of illegal immigrants, what if someone accuses you as a Christian man of being anti-immigrants, of not loving the alien? I mean, how could you be so unloving? Where's your compassion?
Brother Stu, I am a Christian man, first of all and foremost, and I love people. But the one thing that I will not put up with or tolerate is when somebody – go back to when you came into this country, when you were born, when your parents brought you into this world, like everybody else listening to me out there on Truth Radio. When we were born, we have to do what is correctly done to get ourselves to where we need to be. We have to show documentation. We have to get a permit. We have to get a license. We have to have paperwork. We have to have a birth certificate. Do these people have that? I truly feel in my heart that 90%, maybe more, do not have that. I'll share a little story with you. Years ago, before I found Truth Radio, there was this man who had just retired from his job. He was 8, 9, 10 months retired from his job. He was headed home to take care of some stuff for his family when somebody who was in this country illegally hit him and killed the man. Now, this guy was drinking and driving and killed this man, being retired 8 to 10 months from his work, and he was taking care of his family. This guy had no insurance and no documentation. Okay, so my thing is,
wow.
What is it? I mean, if you need to put me on hold.
Well, no, that's a great point. We got the lines are loaded up. We got Terry, Bill, Gene, and Janine on the line holding at 866-34-TRUTH. What's your thoughts? Are you with Texas? Are you with our government? And how does a Christian believe, and how do we love the alien but hold the rule of law? A very important issue today on Truth Talk Live. Hang on.
Truth Talk Live.
This is the Truth Network.
You know, what other talk show looks at what's going on in the world today, and we talk about it. We have a conversation. We don't have a monopoly on the truth, but we do know who is the way, the truth, of life. His name is Jesus, and I hope you know him, and our goal is to lead you to him, and that means if we disagree with you, we're not going to smack you in the head, and we hope you don't smack us in the head, but we want to talk about it. We want to work it out. Tomorrow on this show, we might just be entering into a topic that no one else wants to talk about necessarily, but should a Christian attend a gay wedding? What about that? Don't call about that today. Don't text me. I'm going to hear about that tease is going to get me all kinds of grief on social media. But we're going to talk about that, Lord willing, tomorrow on this program, Truth Talk Live. The number is 866-34-TRUTH. The lines are loaded. The question, you got two different opponents in a ring. Now, these two opponents should be on the same team because they're members of the same country. One is a state known as the state of Texas. One is the United States government. And what's happened? The border crisis is out of control. Even our government finally admitted it after denying it for all these months. I'm not going to say lied to us. Maybe that's too strong a word. It's like, Stu, you're being too rough. Well, if you commit a crime and then you lie about that crime, what does that mean? I struggle with that. But here's the issue. Texas is doing something about it. They're trying to repel, or they're trying to at least stop the flood of illegal immigrants, and so they've erected some barriers. And what does our government do? Instead of President Biden and Vice President Harris, who I'm sure they're at the border all the time and they see the crisis, instead of saying, hey, here's some support, here's some funds, no. They are suing. They have sued the state of Texas for simply enforcing the law. What is going on here? 866-34-TRUTH. Who do you stand with? Are you anti-Christian if you support border security? Does that mean you're less of a Christian? And can you love the illegal alien but still be in favor of border security? And have we kind of checked our brains at the cash register, believers? 866-34-TRUTH. What say you? Let's jump to Terry, Winston-Salem, North Carolina, listening to us on AM 830 and 97.7 FM. Terry, you're on the air. Jump on in here.
Hey, brother, you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
All right, so here's I have compassion on the illegal immigrant that's coming in here, but when your own government embraces lawlessness by allowing them to come up here and there's a chance for a better life, I have no problem with that. But for us as a Christian, how about the compassion of this? There are thousands upon thousands who don't even make it up. If they do up to the border, if they make it up to the border, we are the number one in the world as far as sexual human trafficking. We ought to be ashamed of ourselves as Americans.
And no one's talking about that, by the way. No one is. What you just said, you won't see that on any major news network tonight, and that is heartbreaking. Thousands of these precious children are coming in and being human trafficked. They're ending up in these big cities. They're ending up on the other end of evil stuff, Terry. And what a great point. Yeah.
And not just there, brother. There's something more we need. And here, the body of Christ. We listen to Truth Talk Live because we are Christians. My brothers and sisters, we need to wake up. We need to get involved. We need to be on our knees praying because there's another thing that's happening, Stu. It's not just here in America. They are influxing all these nations of the world. Europe is already lost by assimilation alone with all illegal immigrations. America is going to collapse our economy. You can look at it like that as well.
Yeah.
The other thing, there was a guy who was on the video just a couple of days ago says, you don't know my name. You're too stupid to know my name, but you're going to know my name soon enough.
Yeah.
There are people, and I get this from the military background, there are people in this who have come in through the border, walked right in, who have bad intentions for us. They don't care if we're black or white, gay or straight, or what your denomination is. We are a hated people. We are known as the great Satan.
But that's what you're saying there is almost like it's almost like not a Republican, Democrat, or even a Christian, non-Christian thing. It's like common sense. Like we saw 9/11. We saw the buildings being destroyed. We saw what folks that were here did. And now we're just saying, hey, come on in. Come on into the country. Free reign. Terry, thanks for your call. Some strong thoughts and opinions. Wow. And love hearing from him. And we want to hear from you at 866-34-TRUTH, 866-348-7884. Do you agree with Texas? Do you agree with your government who is suing Texas? Let's go to Roanoke, 101.5 FM. Ed, you're next up on Truth Talk Live. Hey, turn your radio down so we can hear you better.
With your government who is suing Texas. Let's go to Roanoke. 101.5 FM, and you're next up on True Talk Live.
Hey, Ed.
Hey, can you hear me?
Hey, can you hear you now? Yeah, turn your radio down, and it's good to hear your voice, man. What are your thoughts?
Oh, man, I am for Texas. Listen, I am not an alien hater. I married two of them. My first wife died of cancer. And listen, we had to go through all the paperwork to legally bring my wife in. We paid thousands of dollars. Now, listen to this. Now, she's on a green card. And she applied with the U.S. Post Office, but because I married her on a tourist visa, they gave her a conditional green card. The post office denied her a job. Now, listen to this. I'm getting mad here. Now, listen.
Oh, he's working it up. All right, we're therapy. We're Truth Talk Live therapy, buddy. Jump on in.
So I meet a guy on my route, and he wants to know if he can work for me. And he tells me he came from Cuba, and he came through 8 countries, and he crossed the border, and he said he was working in a factory. I said, well, how'd you get a job in a factory? And he says, well, I made up a Social Security number. Now, you get this. This guy comes through illegally, makes up a Social Security number online, and he's working in a factory, and my wife and I, we pay thousands of dollars to bring her in, and she can't even get a job with the government.
Yeah, so your wife, if she had just flown down into Central America and kind of worked her way up and just kind of walked across, it'd help your cell phone bill in your family because she'd get a free cell phone, and your health care would do better. And, Ed, you're doing, but you're a little tongue-in-cheek there, sorry, but man, it's pretty raw when you see, when you're trying to honor the law as a Christian and honor God and honor the government that you're under, submit to the government, to the higher power. And yet you see this. So it's upsetting, I guess, when you see this flood of folks coming in illegally and then you actually met someone who was here like that.
Yeah, and I feel sorry for the guy because actually he's a good man, and he was a doctor in Cuba, and he was an OBGYN, and he showed me pictures. So, you sort of feel sorry for him because he said he didn't make any money, but still, and we know what this whole thing is about. It's about bringing in these people and taking care of them so they can say, hey, the Democrats took care of me, and they can vote Democrat. We know what the deal is.
If you just look at political numbers, if you just look at pure schematics, just red states, blue states. California was a red state, but they loosened their immigration laws. Now they're a blue state, and there's people on their knees praying that Texas will become a blue state. Well, they're on their way, but they could backfire on them, because even these illegal immigrants, they have a lot more common sense than our own government. And they're going to see through the facade, the charade, hopefully. But, Ed, thanks for your call. And God bless you for honoring your wife, honoring the government. And, hey, let's lead that Cuban friend to the Lord. He's put a mission field right in front of you there, right? How about that?
Yeah. And get this, too. I was in the United States Marine Corps, and I held a green card my whole life till I got in the Marine Corps. And basically I did all the paperwork to become a citizen. And then because I was in boot camp, they told me to go swear in, and I couldn't. And then they told me, well, now you can't do anything. You got to wait till, do all your paperwork again. So I wrote Senator Jesse Helms when I was in North Carolina, and I kept bugging his office. And you know what? They called me up and said, go swear in.
No kidding. What a story. Yeah, well, God bless you, Ed, and God bless the Marines, man. We appreciate you.
All right, God bless
appreciate your service. Yes, sir. Listen to us in Roanoke, Virginia. Truth Talk Live. I'm Stu Epperson. Do you side with Texas? Do you side with the government who's suing Texas because Texas is enforcing the immigration law to protect its border from illegal activity, illegal immigrants? Can you do that and still have compassion on those who are illegal, who are coming over here? And how do we seize this new mission field, too? Let's go to Liz, and then we got some other callers on the line. We lost Chad from Charlotte. Chad, try to call us back. We'd love to talk to you. Liz, you're on Truth Talk Live. Go ahead.
Hello, how are you?
Hey, great. Thanks for calling in.
Yes, I do not care what anyone thinks. I am a true Christian, but I do side with Texas. Brett Abbott does need help. I'm not going to say where I work, but we have been trying to sound the alarm with immigrants coming across the border since the year 2000. It's affecting our children in the U.S. And during the year 2000, there are so many coming across the border. I asked some people, I'm like, hey, where are you coming from? Especially students. I mean, the classrooms are becoming overcrowded. Students cannot learn. They're sending the children, they're coming in from the border, going straight to the classroom. Wow. Many of them do not speak English. So they're just sitting there all day until you can find an interpreter.
So she's talking about the implication on education. We're up at a break. Hold on, Liz. I want you finish your thought. 866-34-TRUTH. Who's to blame? Who are you siding with? Texas or the U.S. government who's suing Texas? More of your calls after this. Who disagrees with Texas? 866-34-TRUTH. Hang on.
Truth Talk Live.
This is the Truth Network.
Okay, we can call this border wars, but oh my buddy Jason just called me during the break, and I just said, hey, what do you think about this topic? I teased it just like I'm teasing with you guys, telling, as I set it up, at the beginning of the show, all hour long, we've been talking about, you've got the state of Texas in one corner, you've got the United States government in the other, and the United States government is suing Texas. It's gone all the way to the Supreme Court, who passed down a decision, I think just yesterday, the day before, but the decision still gives some room for some appeals and some lower courts to do some things. Governor Abbott is simply trying to protect his border from the influx of, if you don't know this, there's 12 or so thousand, as many as 12,000 plus illegal immigrants flooding in the southern border every day. And we have thousands of fentanyl deaths. We have all kinds of child trafficking documented things and rings that they've tried to get. We have documented illegal terrorists have come in. It goes on and on and on. our government, should they be suing Texas, who's trying to do something about it? Should they be helping Texas? And what Jason, my friend, said, he said the worst victim in all of this, he says, I'm for securing our borders, I'm with Governor Abbott for doing that, because he's protecting the migrant. Governor Abbott is supporting and helping the illegal alien. Why? Because they come to this country and they're being completely defrauded by Wall Street. They're being defrauded by labor laws. They're being defrauded in sexual trafficking. They're being taken advantage of. And he says, if anything, the government is exploiting illegal immigrants more than anyone. But here's what's happening. You see this happening, everyone? Am I the only one that sees this? I'm going to take some calls. I got Joe on the line hanging on from Durham. Joe, hang on. And I got Liz still on the line. But does anyone else see this, that it's almost like the government has broken the law, but they've made the illegal alien, like they've put this fake straw man battle between, make Texas the bad guy, make the Christian the bad guy who says, hey, we're for the law, as though we don't love illegal aliens. Of course we love illegal aliens. We're called to love everyone. But all this goes back to the root cause of the government and government corruption. Or are they right to just throw out all of the immigration laws that are on the books in America, and then maybe what other laws should they throw out? Get rid of all the speed limit signs, get rid of the police force, defund the police. What else is next? 866-34-TRUTH. Don't want to go down that trail, but I want to ask you about this thought. Liz says she agrees with Texas. Liz, finish your thought real quick. You're seeing these poor migrants come into education, and it's a real struggle for them. They just emptied out. They just emptied out a school, by the way, I believe in New York, to fill it with illegal aliens or migrants that they bust there, and all the kids that normally go to school to get the education had to stay home. Right.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you loud and clear. So finish your thought real quick, and we're going to jump over to some more calls.
Yeah, because I don't want to take too much of your time. They cleared out a school also in Chicago. This is the last thing I want to say. I just left Texas 2 months ago, the end of November. I was living in Texas, had moved there, and I left. And that's because I ran into the cartel. So Greg Abbott is not lying. At first, I did not think, it was that serious. But Texas, it is that serious. And that is why I left Texas.
Yeah. They're living, think about this. Those of you in North Carolina, Ohio, Florida, Virginia that listen to this program every day, think about like if 12,000 folks were flooding into your state every day. Think about if there were trafficking rings. Think about if there was no filter. They're just flooding in. And I'm not saying they're not good people. They're made in the image of God. Listen, the serial killer that comes in from that border illegally is made in the image of God. We're called to love them and lead them to Christ, okay? So that's the believer's role. But at the same time, at what point do we have a law? The point of the law is to protect our country against those folks and to protect them from the exploitation that's in our country, even, by the way, even political exploitation, which seems like is what's really going on here. Liz, thanks for your call. God bless you, and for your service in education. Joe, calling Durham, North Carolina, 105.5 FM. Joe, thanks for calling in. You're on Truth Talk Live with Stu. We got a line open at 866-34-TRUTH. Who do you side with? Texas, trying to protect their border, or the government suing Texas? Should Texas fall underneath the government and say, hey, we're just gonna let it happen? Let the flood of all that stuff come in. What do you think, Joe?
I'm in full support of Governor Abbott.
Are you really? Okay, you're in support of the governor of Texas.
Yes. What would they do if Putin or some other country or North Korea decided to send a hit squad, a squadron through the southern border?
Yeah.
How would they know?
Yeah,
anybody can come through there.
Why wouldn't he? If he wanted to conquer the United States, why wouldn't he send the whole Red Army over here in different disguise? Just come on in.
Exactly.
No one's going to stop him.
Right. Suppose Hezbollah, ISIS, and the rest of them decided to come through the border.
Well, the only challenge is someone in Hezbollah. They might get dinged by the barbed wire, and they might sue, and they might get a good American lawyer to defend them, and then go to court. And they might not get on the best. They might not get on the best sell plan, and the hotel they're getting put up in, all expense paid, they may not like the breakfast. They might not be into oatmeal. They might want a hot breakfast. I don't know. I mean, it's tough. But that's all joking aside. This is game on, and this is really the reason countries have borders is because there's a reason that the Great Wall of China is in China. You got
national security.
Yeah, Joe, you bring a great point up, and I really appreciate you calling 866-34-TRUTH. Is a believer now. So someone could turn around and say, "Well, Joe, he says he's a believer. Well, how dare he hate on the illegal immigrant? He's supposed to love everyone." And so that goes back to the question: can you be a believer in the Lord Jesus Christ, solid in the faith, and be in favor of being a nation of laws? And in favor of even border laws, which are on the books that are existing, but still love those who come in illegally, but hold to the law, which ultimately all law comes from God. And there's a reason those border laws are there, and there's a reason that you can come into America legally, like your great-great-grandparents did. Some of your, our caller from Roanoke earlier, whose wife came in, paid thousands of dollars to go through the process. Let's go to Dayton, Ohio, the new 106.5 FM, wonderful affiliate of Truth Talk Live, 866-34-TRUTH. May have time for one more caller after Mike, but Mike, you're in the hot seat. What say you?
Man, you have some great callers making some great comments, and I agree with all those callers. Texas has the right to control the border. Do we have compassion for people coming in? Yes, by controlling the border. You can vet these people and making sure only good people come in and for good reasons, and not bad people coming in for bad reasons. It's a common sense.
By the way, Mike, let's apply your common sense to a current legal protocol that's in place for exactly that person who wants to come in and contribute, and they don't have to be a linguist and they don't have to be a PhD. It's called legal, legal, immigration. That is the vetting. Yeah. Someone wants to come into this country, they can become a U.S. citizen through legal immigration. But for some reason, but if you say that too loudly, even if you're a believer, someone will hammer you for not being compassionate. And
and we can also take care of the bad people by being compassionate to the bad people.
Well, how do you protect? The goal of the police, the goal of the government is to protect its citizenry. That's why we have military, and that's why our tax dollars go toward all that. And yet, what do you have when a government fails to enforce its law, fails to protect its citizenry, and then lies about it?
We have chaos.
Yeah, well, that's kind of
what we have.
Well, that's kind of what in our last caller. Interesting, she just left Texas. She encountered the cartel personally. She told some horror stories about the education crisis now afoot. The financial situation is going to be unbearable, and so what do you do, man? It's heartbreaking.
I have one more. Money is the root of all evil, and we keep spending thousands and millions of dollars down there trying to protect our border, but then we just wide open it again, and we hire and fire, and we spend all this money. Yep. But if we solve the problem, yes, we don't have to spend all this money to protect the border anymore. Now we can spend the money to allow citizens that are good people to come into our country.
All right, Mike. Wow. Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah. Yes, sir. God bless you. Thanks for calling. Hey, thanks to all the callers. Hey, really appreciate your call. Hey, look, open God's word. God speaks to this, and the honoring of the government. But the government, let me tell you something. What's happened is you have people upset about illegal aliens. You have people talking about the all the money, and it's the love of money that's root of all evil that's being thrown at this. You have all these things. These are all symptoms of a deeper issue, and that issue is corruption at the highest level of our country. And that's I'm not talking Democrat. I'm not talking Republican. I'm just saying this is when a government, whatever stripe, party, flavor, however nice they are, however mean they are, when they fail to enforce the laws, which ultimately come from God in the Constitution, then that's corruption. And what ends up happening is you have all these little skirmishes. Well, I don't like this. What about these veterans that aren't getting it? Well, it stems from the root of that. And it's interesting what I believe it was Luther said, God judges a country by giving them corrupt rulers. And that's what we have. So what do we do as believers? We pray. Pray for them. Pray that they'll find Christ. Pray that they will turn to the ultimate lawmaker, the Lord. And hey, share this with others. TruthNetwork.com. We're all over social media, and we want to hear from you. We'll be here tomorrow on Truth Talk Live. Don't touch that dial. Talk to you then.
Another program powered by the Truth Network.